My name is Ryan Story. My purpose in life is to serve Christ, and my passion is to help everybody understand that God has a life waiting on you, and on the other side of all the things going on right now is complete joy and love. In 6th grade, I smoked weed for the first time with someone that was very close to me. And I found these new experiences that I was enjoying, like drugs and sex and alcohol. And so while they were going, we were doing these things. And you see, my parents had no idea. And of course, we were slick about it too, and it wasn't even that hard to be slick about it because they would leave, and we know they're not coming home until midnight, and I know they're going to be drunk themselves, so I knew I could get away with murder at the time. I know for a fact that had my parents thought or had a clue that we were involved in any of these things, they would have been home. And they would have been talking to us about these things, and we would have had the talk and do's and don'ts about all these things. But that didn't happen because, we were too slick and smart about, keeping things from them. And most of these things I learned from the movies I was watching, and me and my brother completely turned into people that we weren't. We completely blossomed in to the exact kids my parents didn't raise us to be, the exact kids that God wouldn't want us to be. And, the foundation that had been built of my childhood of being loved and appreciated and feeling that love, that foundation was being covered by all this other darkness that I was choosing to live along with my brother as well. And it completely grew a big distance between me and my parents. Now, my parents might not have felt the effects of us growing distant, but now that I have all these things to hide from them, it naturally grew me away from them as far as not wanting to talk to them too much about things, because what if I slipped out and said this or that, or you know what I mean? So that around the 6th, 7th grade for me was a time that I completely started growing distant from my parents and doing the things that I shouldn't be doing. My summer of 8th grade, I was full blown. Now it wasn't just like smoking weed, and it wasn't just drinking alcohol and stinking liquor. By my summer after 8th grade, I was already, I knew about pills, I knew about, coke, I was learning about meth, I learned and had done all these things along with, ecstasy was really big at that time. And my cousins that I knew were doing drugs and selling drugs, man, now I'm doing them with them. Now I'm able to get my hands on whatever I want through my cousin's friends, my cousins, the people my brother was hanging out with. And so, now I'm able to get whatever I want, and I'm just going into the 9th grade. And, I'm having sex with multiple girls, and I'm loving life because I'm loving this sinful life that I'm living. It's like it was around between my 8th and 9th grade that summer that this completely got out of hand. When I was in 9th grade, I completely, like I said, had my hands on whatever I wanted. So it's like, man, it was, I'd have a pocket full of dope and a pocket full of money, and I had a setup to wherever I was, because I had a job at the time, people didn't have to, I didn't have a car. And people didn't have to call me and be like, hey, where you at? Because they knew I was working on Friday, Saturday night. They'd come to where I was and get whatever they wanted because I had whatever they needed. I literally had a buffet of dope on me, and I'm in 9th grade, and that's the life that I was living. And that's how my whole life completely escalated once I realized the freedom I had, the things I could get, and the power I felt that I had from doing these things. It became a very sinful life for me.
This time, or
I was involved in sports. I was playing basketball for the school, and as my problems outside of school got worse. For example, my best friend at the time was breaking into a lot of houses, which I was, in the loop about and involved in. Some of these things were making an effect and an impact on my life outside of the whole drug thing. For example, when I was in 9th grade, I had detectives come and pick me up from school and take me downtown and question me about all these houses that were getting broke into in my neighborhood. When I was in, a couple years later, my best friend, which was like my brother at the time, I mean, this dude was literally my brother, and he got shot at his doorstep the first day of spring break. And you know, that was something that completely turned my life into something that it wasn't at the time. You see, I was already